Welcome back to Fireside Yankees. Big 8-1 win yesterday. And of course, DJ LeMahieu riding the bench. Is it a coincidence? No, it's just Juan Soto and Aaron Judge being absolute monsters. They had all 8 RBIs, 3 home runs combined. Aaron Judge is just stupid, guys. I don't understand how we are witnessing another MVP season, and it's better than his other MVP season. He's on pace for 60 home runs. Another little hot stretch. You never know. You never know. And so, of course, Soto's, if it wasn't for Judge, might be winning the MVP himself. So it's kind of crazy to have these two pieces, and the Yankees still have this many red flags. But nonetheless, Jazz Chisholm just came out today, and Boone said he's really close to being back in this lineup after the 10-day IL stint is expiring. So we're really, really excited about that. And Rizzo, John Birdie, Clark Schmidt, Lou Trevino, a lot of reinforcements on the way for September. I'm really, really excited to see how this team gets some key pieces back and hopefully mount some momentum and get some good trends going here. But Ryan, talking about one of our favorite young players, a 25-year-old rookie, and funny enough, who else is 25? Juan Soto, been in the league for 7 years already. But nonetheless, we talk about Austin Wells today, and Austin Wells might be in line to win the Rookie of the Year. There's a couple other competitors, but Wells has played 87 games. This has 3 WAR, guys. I mean, he is on fire. The last 2.5, 3 months have been some of the best baseball from a catcher we've seen in years. Look, Jose Trevino's an elite defensive catcher, but what if I told you Jose Trevino has 9 catcher framing runs saved and Austin Wells has 8? Right, he's we're talking about second and third place, and then you have Austin Wells, who's ranks 11th in strike rate as well, and of course Trevino's a little bit better there, but the growth and momentum we've seen from Wells has been astounding. The slugging has been absolutely astounding. The on base percentages, the batting averages over the last couple months have just been consistently increasing. I don't see why he can't be Rookie of the Year, Ryan. How are you feeling about Austin Wells? His impact, he's probably our third best hitter right now. I honestly probably may be selling it short. I think he is our third best hitter right now. How are you feeling about his season and the future of at catcher for the Yankees?
The future is very bright for the New York Yankees. Right now, they have a catcher in Austin Wells who's above average in terms of quality of contact with an xwOBA, which is expected weighted on base average on contact. To kind of simplify what that means, it means how much damage you're doing, right? So how often you're doing damage. The league average is 369, so Wells, being at 400, he's in the upper echelon of hitters in terms of doing damage on contact. He runs a 20.4% strikeout rate. That's obviously below the league average. The average strikeout rate's around 22 to 23%. His walk rate is 11.8%. That's elite. That's in the 90th percentile. And then defensively, he's one of the better defensive catchers in baseball. He's really come into his own. He's starting to really just impress offensively. And even if he's just a 115 WRC plus hitter, he's still a great catcher, right? Like, how many catchers are 115 WRC plus hitters? The answer isn't many. I see your cat. Your cat wants to be involved.
He always does this. He jumps up. He's looking for attention. He tries to get in front of the cat. I just have to just very nonchalantly take him away and place him on the floor.
He's cat loves Austin Wells. We're just big. Everyone wants to be involved in the Austin Wells train. Wells
the problem
FC is growing.
We have Austin Wells, and then I have his litter box next to me, and you just never know when he's gonna nuke me. You never know. It's just absolute. He's a terror to society, and he wants more attention. Yeah. Ever since I had this baby, he's very depressed. So I have to give him a little bit more attention. And yeah,
dude,
he's crazy.
I think. Would you okay? Let's draw a comparison here. Do you think your cat would be a pro Austin Wells guy? Because I think your cat would be a pro Austin Wells guy. Like I think they
if you're not like, is he my cat kind of thing?
That's a great point. Like, Austin Wells FC.
If he's not, he's jumping at the bit right now. He's like, yo, Austin Wells, he's trying to get up here.
But yeah, no, I mean, Austin Wells, he's just been awesome. He's been a great rookie. I think he has a good shot to win Rookie of the Year. It's going to come down, in my opinion, between him and Colton Cowser. I think those are the two guys that I really look at and say those are the Rookie of the Year candidates. Willie O'Brien of the Boston Red Sox has certainly played his tail off, so I don't want to knock him out of this race at all. But those, I guess those 3 guys, right? Those 3 players are the ones that are going to really battle for that award. And even if Austin Wells doesn't win it, I'm so impressed with what he's done this year. I know awards, getting that draft pick would really rock. So, I would love for Austin Wells to go on an insane tear and, steal this award. But, when we're talking about just future value and where the Yankees are at catcher, I feel pretty good where the Yankees are at catcher because Wells is such a great defensive player that it creates such a high floor. He's in the 93rd percentile in fielding run value. Could you imagine saying that this guy would be the 93rd percentile in fielding run value when he was drafted? I still remember people saying he wasn't going to stick at catcher. I still remember the suggestions from the first. And credit to the Yankees, Alex, they never did it. They never moved him to first. They never played him at left. They never wavered from their belief in this guy to catch. And I'm going to give a lot of credit to their internal development, to Tanner Swanson, the catching coach, to Jose Trevino for being a great mentor. It takes, you gotta be pretty sure in yourself to, let a guy who, let's be honest here, Alex, Wells just took Trevino's job, right? Like, Trevino's not getting, I don't know if the Yankees are extending him after 25. Wells just took his job. And
it might be cheap. It might be cheap to keep Trevino long term. I mean, listen, the Yankees, they trade, of course, Augusto Ramirez now with the Marlins, they've traded away a couple of, their catcher prospects to maximize kind of the window they have now. Getting Jazz Chisholm, well worth it, in my opinion. But with that being said, like you said, Austin Wells has stolen Trevino's job. And it's not even close. Trevino is the backup. And I know, and I want to get your take on this, the specific kind of narrative that Aaron Boone wants Trevino in there against left-handed batters. But you look at the sample, and Wells is good against left-handed pitching. I mean, I wouldn't say good. He's better against right-handed pitching, but he's better than Trevino against left-handed pitching if you look at the numbers. I don't really know if I believe that narrative. I think more so Trevino should be in there for Garrett Cole because I think they have a really great chemistry. I think he should be specifically catching specific pitchers, guys that just like him more, that, especially guys that have a little volatile, maybe Rodon, for example. I'm not sure the numbers, the splits. I don't know if you have any information on that. The splits between him catching, Wells and Trevino. I wonder what Rodon's numbers look like between those two guys, or any given pitcher for that matter. But I think Garrett Cole, is Trevino, well, Wells is actually catching today, and Cole's on the mound today. So, that's kind of an interesting one. I think that Wells is the starter, but the reason that Trevino would be playing, it shouldn't be about lefty-righty hitting for me. For the most part, I think it should be more so about the comfort of the pitcher on the mound. I don't know what your thoughts are on that. The numbers aren't that astronomically different, where Wells should be benched because Trevino's good against lefties, which he's not really that good against lefties.
Yeah, so the way I look at it is that I think Trevino is going to get the chunk of at-bats against lefties, and I agree with that decision. Now, here's the tough part, right? And I think this is a fair point to make. You want to get Wells at-bats against lefties so you can develop and learn how to hit lefties. And again, I think there's credence, there's a lot of sense in that argument. It's not a stupid argument. It's not something that, you're prioritizing development over winning. Well, to an extent, you do have to develop players, right? But you still have to win baseball games. And Trevino is, he's not just solid against left-handed pitching. His numbers with the Yankees against left-handed pitching are pretty good. He's slugging 460, 330 on base. It's about an 800 OPS. When we're talking about an 800 OPS against left-handed pitching, he's going to play, right? He's going to play in those situations. The question is, do the Yankees kind of do what they did yesterday, where they did let Wells play against the lefty? Do they put Wells in against lefties who have reverse splits? So let's say, a left-handed pitcher who, their numbers are worse against lefties than they are against righties. Is that maybe what they do? It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to divvy up the playing time because guys need rest, catchers need rest. You'll have strings of games like we just saw where, the Yankees have faced a bunch of lefties, and that means Trevino had to play more. And that threw a lot of people in the loop. They thought that meant that Wells wasn't going to get the majority of playing time. And I said this on Twitter, and nobody took my wager, so I'm confident in saying that I'm right on this. I'm willing to throw. I was willing to throw $10, or hell, I'll bump it. I'd bump it up to 20 if I could. If somebody asked me to bump it up to 20 or 30, I'd put $20 or $30 at Austin Wells gets the chunk of the larger share of playing time down the stretch. I'm confident the Yankees are going to play Austin Wells more than Jose Trevino. But against left-handed pitching, right? That's. I know that people don't like to hear this. I know that people think that Jose Trevino's a bum or something like that, but, you're wrong if you think that. You're objectively wrong. Oh, they stole 9 times off of him. You steal off of a pitcher, not a catcher. If you've ever played baseball, you steal off the pitcher. The catcher, that guy's got a noodle arm. Yeah, in Little League, when nobody can throw anybody out. But in the big leagues and in the big boy leagues and in pro ball, college, there's no one who's behind the plate who is so bad defensively at throwing guys out that you run on them. You run on the pitcher. If the pitcher's got a slow move, you're running on him. It could be Yadier Molina behind the plate. If the guy on the mound has a slow move, you're running on him. That guy's the guy you run on because that's how the game's played. You run on pitchers. So, and it's not I know Wells and Trevino don't grade out completely well against in terms of throwing guys out, but I don't feel like teams run on the Yankees as much as people thought they were, right? I remember after that 9-steal game, everyone's like, oh, you just found the way to beat the Yankees, and hasn't really happened. So, again, kind of just to wrap up my point here, Austin Wells kills right-handed pitching. Jose Trevino basically kills left-handed pitching. I know it's a small sample size for Wells. I'm not counting out the idea that he could become a good hitter against left-handed pitching. He's done it at the minor league level at times. But I understand why the Yankees are prioritizing winning over development just for right now. Just for right now. In 2025, I think they should get Wells way more PAs against left-handed pitching. But, Alex, you get one. You don't know if you're going to have Juan Soto next year. You don't know if Aaron Judge is ever going to be this good again. And good God, that dude mashes, right? I mean, it's like he wakes up and it's bombs. You have to capitalize on this team. This is the team you got to capitalize on. This is the team. This is the team. This is the one that I think. I'm not saying it's the best Yankee team in the Judge era. I'm saying this is the one that feels like they aren't like a gap away from the top team. Houston always felt better than them in 22, in 17, in 19. This year, it feels a little different.
What I really am the most scared of is that we're going to be, like I talked to you yesterday about being slow to the punch. I think that Brian Cashman needs to put this team in a position to win within the next 2 years. I think that we can win this year. It's just a matter of getting hot at the right time, getting the reinforcements coming up in a couple days, if not a week or two. But with that being said, we have to be very careful about wasting Aaron Judge's prime because, he's 32 years old right now. 2 years from now, you don't know what that looks like. We're seeing guys hit their age wall at 34, 35, 36 right now. You just don't know when Judge is going to hit that wall and suddenly the numbers are going to start to creep down towards more like human levels. Still going to be a phenomenal player, I believe, for at least another 4 years. But wasting MVP seasons like this, historic campaigns, cannot be justified. Like, you deserve to be fired if you do not capitalize on seasons like this, especially when you have Juan Soto doing a very similar thing right ahead of him in the batting order. So, with that being said, we may reflect on this season and say the Yankees didn't do enough at the trade deadline. And Ryan, I'll say this. I think that Cashman may be one of the worst GMs when it comes to deadline moves. His deadline moves, 99% of the time, don't work. I think that Jazz is a good one, but it's one of the many that have failed, right? There's one good one, and obviously he's in with injury right now. He's very, very good for us, but we don't know what the long-term prospects look for him. But at the same time, like, his deadline moves have been really disappointing for the better part of 3-4 years. And that could be the difference between winning a championship and losing a championship. And he viewed a lot of these guys that are injured right now as key components and reinforcements coming back. But we're talking about guys that are barely going to get a month of action under their belt before hitting the playoffs. They're not going to be in full force. And I think that that's a bit concerning. Of course, Aniel De Los Santos is currently, funny enough, gives up 7 runs against the White Sox, and then the White Sox claim him. Kind of a funny move by them. But then you have, of course, Mark Leiter Jr., who's been inconsistent. Looked good, looked really bad, has looked better the last day or two. It is what it is. We're trying to figure out these things, but at the same time, I do think that right now, guys like Austin Wells, they're the silver linings aside from Judge and Soto. These young players, I mean, look, Volpe, yes, he has his offensive inconsistencies, but when he's on, he's very effective and he's a tremendous defensive player, right? He's a Gold Glove every year. He's a Gold Glove level player. And this is a player that a lot of people were complaining about at shortstop. They wanted him at second base, and he's been one of the best defensive shortstops in the game. So I'm not concerned about him defensively whatsoever. And listen, he's still very young. He still has a lot of baseball left to play to get to where we think he can be. It's about the consistency. And I think that eventually he'll see enough pitches. He'll get to a point where he may never be like this elite offensive threat, but he could be a slightly above average offensive player and an elite defensive player and be a really good professional for a very long time. And I think people undervalue that, and I think that the reason they do is because of the expectations people had for Volpe going into the MLB. But if he's a slightly above average offensive player and an elite defender, I don't think anyone's going to complain about that. So I think I'm going to let him develop his game and get to that point. So Not concerned. Long term, he's still very young. Was he 23, if I'm not mistaken, something like that? So, he's still a kid. And I think that we owe him that time. But at the same time, you got Jason Dominguez coming up, who's supposed to be a big piece to your equation. Then Spencer Jones, of course, as if he figures out his strikeouts and chase issues. This team looks very young on paper, right? We have a lot of young pieces taking over very big jobs. Like Rizzo, he's gone after this season. They're not going to pick up his option. Ben Rice may be the long-term first baseman. They may trust him to be that guy. Anthony Volpe is a long-term shortstop. Jazz Chisholm's still very young. He's going to be our long-term second or third baseman. We still have guys like Yorbit Vivas climbing the system. We still have guys like Caleb Durbin we really like. We'll see how he develops. Jason Dominguez is 21 years old. Will Warren's 24. Like, there's a lot of youth on this team expected to play big roles, and Wells is 25. You can afford to pay some of these other guys, but, Stanton, he's going to obviously, he's older, regressing, injury prone. DJ LeMay, he was washed. We still have him under contract, $30 million for the next 2 seasons. I like the direction of this team in terms of youth, but you got to keep those key components like Soto's, and you got to spend on Soto for that reason.
I also want to point out the bullpen is like there's a lot of there's going to be a lot of new faces. Holmes is a free agent. Canley's a free agent. Those are 2 of probably the 4 biggest names in that bullpen, right? Like, I don't think you can include anybody who's currently on the IL. Like, you can't throw a guy like Efros in there. Maybe you want to throw a guy like Hamilton in there. Obviously, Loaizaga was hurt, so it doesn't feel like it's a loss, but you are no longer, like, he's not under the contract of this team, so you can't count him in for next year, whatever it may be. This is a weird spot for the Yankees where, like, obviously the number one objective in the winter is going to be signing Juan Soto. Like, they've got to throw all the money in the world at him, Alex. Even hearing that ballpark yesterday, like, it is a Wednesday night. I know it's August. I know, there are still kids who are out of school, but, for the most part, kids have moved into their colleges, they moved into their dorms. Dude, that ballpark was electric on a random Wednesday night. That double, man, that ballpark went crazy. I know the yes mics, I don't know if they were hot. I don't know if they were trying to pick up everything. It was wild. It was bonkers. And I look at where this team is, the identity of this team, the face of this team. As you mentioned, we don't know how many great years Aaron Judge has left, but I'm going to be pretty confident saying Juan Soto has quite a few great years left in his prime. And, man, you think of that transition from Judge being the face of this team to Soto down the road. You want to continue that lineage of star power in the Bronx, right? That's what you want. And Soto's 25, as you mentioned. He's the same age as a guy like Will Warren and a guy like Austin Wells, or he's the same age. He might be younger than Ben Rice. He's younger than Luis Seal. So you kind of look at where this team's going moving forward. You can have a great team for a very, very long time, and I hope that they're able to keep Soto, because he's electric. He's everything you'd want in a superstar and more.
Yeah, I mean, look, I guess the question is, why would Soto want to leave? I think the Yankees are going to give him the most competitive offer in terms of financial long-term security. Now the question is, does he feel as though he can win a championship here? And here's the thing. I don't know if there's a better feeling than winning a championship in the Bronx with the Yankees. You know what I mean? Like, it hasn't happened in a long time, but if Soto can help us get there, if he can accomplish that with the Yankees, he's going to be immortal. You know what I mean? He will be a legend forever. No one's talking about the Washington Nationals legends, right? They're talking about the Yankees legends. They're talking about Jeter, and he will be immortalized. He will be a star. No one's bringing up, the Washington Nationals championship team in 10 years to go to Fanatics Fest, right? They're going to the Yankees to go to Fanatics Fest, right? He will be immortal. And I think that maybe that is what he wants. He wants immortality. We'll see what happens, but I think that he acknowledges, as a marketing decision, long-term, near-term, being a Yankee is the best place for him to be. Not the Mets, and they're right around the corner, but the Yankees are the best place for him to be in terms of long-term prospects.
And they've got to put money where their mouth is. Look, if I think it's clear that Juan Soto would stay with the Yankees if the money is the same. The Yankees got to make sure that money is the same. That money, whatever if Soto says this is what it's going to take to keep me, you give him that money. That's what you give him. You give him that money. I don't care. I don't care about what it is. I don't care about what money, if it's too much, if people think it's too much, we want to spread the money around to 4 or 5 players. That doesn't work the way people think it does. It does not, right? Like, you spread money around to 3, 4 players. That's how you end up. I remember when the Yankees didn't sign Cano and they spread the money around. They got Beltran, Ellsbury, McCann. McCann's contract was solid. Beltran's bad. Ellsbury, disaster. Throw up in your mouth. Atrocious, right? I know the Cano contract didn't necessarily age perfectly, but hell, if you put 2017 Robinson Cano on the 2017 New York Yankees, that team probably goes out and wins the World Series. So, I'm not going to sit here and discount what that man was doing, despite playing in an awful ballpark to hit like Seattle. It feels like nobody can hit in Seattle, except for Aaron Judge. Every time we go there, Aaron Judge hits the ball like 555 feet into left field. But, my point more so is, when I look at, you develop guys like Juan Soto so that you can develop guys like Austin Wells so you can sign guys like Juan Soto. You develop a Luis Seals so you can sign a Juan Soto. You develop a Clark Schmidt so you can sign a Juan Soto. You develop young players who are cost controlled so that you don't have to spend money in those position groups, maybe even shed money in those position groups, and then go out and use that money, accumulate it to sign superstars, to sign studs, to sign monsters, right? I mean, how many times have the Yankees gone for probably a tier B free agent, or just any team in general? How many times those tier B free agents that get signed to a lot of money, how often do they convert into great contracts, right? What are some of the greatest contracts of all time? Signing Max freaking Scherzer, surefire Hall of Famer, guy who's a stud, guy who's a monster, guy who's a beast. That's one of the best contracts that's ever been signed. Aaron Judge, I feel like Aaron Judge maybe doesn't make enough money, right? Could you imagine if the Yankees went, we're going to spread the wealth, we're going to go sign, we're going to go sign one of these shortstops. Let's go sign a Corey Seager, a Marcus Sim. I guess that was the offseason prior. Let's say spread the money and sign like a Carlos Correa and a Carlos Rodon and a Brandon Nimmo. Man, this team wouldn't be that good. Aaron Judge accumulates more value than all those guys thrown together. That's how good Aaron Judge is. I can fact check this. I'm pretty sure Aaron Judge has more WAR than Brandon Nimmo and Carlos Correa, who are two phenomenal baseball players. They're not having bad years. But that's how good Aaron Judge is. That's why you pay him the big bucks. That's why you pay him all the cheese, all the cheddar, right? You don't pay him cheese and cheddar because you don't pay solid to good players. You don't pay not perennial MVP candidates and sometimes all-stars. You pay the big man. Aaron Judge is the big dog. Juan Soto's the big dog. You want to talk dogs? Those two guys are dogs. They put up 8 runs on Cleveland. The New York Yankees offense did not do anything outside of those two guys who put 8 runs on the board on their own. Oh, and Aaron Judge didn't even play the entire game. They pulled him so he could rest in the 7th and 8th inning. That's crazy, man. These two guys
absolutely
are superstars.
Insane.
These two guys do things. You want to hear two crazy stats? Number 1, Aaron Judge has a higher slugging percentage than the average OPS. OPS is on base plus slugging percentage. And the second crazy stat, this was mind-boggling to me. Aaron Judge has more WAR than 16. Aaron Judge and Juan Soto combined for more WAR than 16 of 30 teams in baseball this season.
That's
Aaron
stupid.
Judge, the team we're playing today, the first place Cleveland Guardians, get less WAR out of their position players. They have Steven Kwan. They have Jose Ramirez. They have a guy like David Fry who's been having a good year. And their entire team as a whole has accumulated for less WAR than just Soto and Judge combined. If you pay Soto $40 million a year for 12 years, let's do 40 times 20. 12. I'm bad at math, or in my head math. Honestly, it's probably going to have to be 45. Let's say 45 times 12. That's $540 million over 12 years, right? $540 million over 12 years. If you're paying him and Judge a combined $85 million, that's a bargain. It's going to be more than worth it. These guys are going to yield a crazy return on investment. And Hal Steinbrenner's pockets are going to be the fattest he's ever seen in his lifetime. Hal Steinbrenner's making more money right now, I imagine, than at any point in his life as an owner. He is making bread. That man is breaded up. Alex, is there a dollar you wouldn't pay to go see Aaron Judge and Juan Soto? Is there a dollar you wouldn't pay?
No, of course not. Of course not. Dude, he's making money hand over. And I know what he said a couple months ago, we have to shed salary because it's unsustainable. That is the biggest load of crap I've ever heard. The biggest load of crap I've ever heard. Because this team is one of the most valuable franchises on the planet. And Soto and Judge bring in more revenue, and I get it's a revenue-sharing league, and they have jersey sales and everything. But the future, a $540 million deal right now, fast forward 3 years, Ryan, the best example that we can use is think about the deal that Judge got 2 off seasons ago. Was it $360 million over 10 years or something like that? That is a freaking bargain right now. A bargain over 9 years, whatever it was. A bargain. $540 million in 12 years is going to look like a walk in the freaking park. You want to know how old Juan Soto is going to be when that contract expires? Almost the same age as DJ LeMahieu. Just think about that. He'll be DHing by then. Just hitting. Just monster. Just a beast DH. This is the easiest decision ever for the Yankees. You couldn't draw up an easier decision than to extend Juan Soto on this deal. He's going to make the money back for you, and this contract is going to look like a drop in the freaking bucket long term, right? You just do this because it makes the most sense. You do this because it's the easy decision. You do this because those two guys are the only shot you have at winning a World Series. If you let Juan Soto go, kiss goodbye to a chance at a World Series for the next decade.
I was also going to say this right now. Aaron Judge's 2022 season, record-breaking. I mean, one of the greatest seasons you or I will ever get the privilege to watch. Aaron Judge, his WRC plus is, I think, what is it? It's like
14% better.
Yeah, he's 16 to 14, 16% better than he was. 16% better than when he hit 62 home runs. Dude, you know what 230-23 WRC plus? That is the highest mark post-integration for any qualified hitter outside of Barry Bonds. Only Barry Bonds can say he's posted a higher WRC plus in a season than 223. That guy, look, I'm not saying steroids makes you, it's the only way you're a good player, but let's be real. If Aaron Judge was taking steroids, the guy would be a monster.
85 homers.
Aaron Judge would be putting up Barry Bonds numbers if he had steroids in his system. I'm just going to put that out there right now.
Imagine how much bigger he would be. He's already freaking huge.
Durability, too. It's that, too. It's the ability to recover. It's those things. Yeah. It's crazy. Aaron Judge is in the 100th percentile in damage rate. That makes sense. Big dude, hits the ball hard. 99th percentile in swing decision making. That's crazy, right? He is the best swing decision maker in baseball. That's not human. That shouldn't be possible. Do you know how crazy it is to be both the best swing decision maker and the best guy at doing damage in the freaking sport? He's cut down his strikeout rate to the lowest of his career. He's striking out less than he's ever had in his life. Isn't that crazy? Like, I think about that. Like, the guy is striking out less than he's ever struck out in his life. At any point in his career, he's cut down his strikeout rate from last year, 4.3%. 4.3%.
My favorite stats are if you combine LeMahieu and Verdugo's slugging percentages, they're still 10% worse than Aaron Judge's slugging percentage. And then you look at Judge, 46.5% on base rate. You know how freaking insane that is to get on base at almost a 50% clip? It's unheard of, generational, unparalleled. You can't compare.
Ronald Acuna Jr. stole 73 bases and hit 41 home runs last year, played 159 games. Aaron Judge already has more WAR than him. It's not even September. The guy's lapping people. The guy, if Aaron Judge did this last year, Aaron Judge would have taken the MVP home today. He would have, right?
Playing in center field, by the way, the way more difficult position than right field. And he would even if he was playing in right field, like you look at his defensive WAR, and he obviously much different than he was winning MVP in 2022. But that's because he's playing a more difficult position. If he was playing right field, this might be one of the best seasons. It already is, but it may be arguably the best season we've ever seen of any player ever.
It's crazy.
That doesn't take that as steroids.
I just can't. When you and I know that this was a Wells episode, and Wells is still like
we always do this. We always end up just spiraling into other things.
It's just so hard to talk about Aaron Judge and not because I always thought I was impressed when he did. I was beyond impressed when he had 207 WRC plus. I really thought that was the best version of Aaron Judge we were ever going to see in our lifetimes, and he's better. He's better at baseball than he was when he had a record-setting season. He's having, what do you even think of the guy? Like, the guy's hitting 330. You wanna what criticism can you levy towards this guy? What doesn't he do? He walks more than everybody else. He's hitting 334. He's slugging 722. I've never seen. It's crazy. Like, Alex, he'll if he doesn't hit a home run, right? Like, if he hits a single, you're almost disappointed. Like, if you're an opposing pitcher and Aaron Judge gets a single off of you, you're happy. You're smiling. It's a good outcome. He didn't take you yard. He didn't hit a double. He has 30 doubles. He has 30 doubles. The guy's unbelievable. There's no words for this man. There are no words for this man. He's the greatest hitter I've ever seen in my lifetime. I know Barry Bonds, I was alive technically for 2005, but I'm just saying, of guys I've actually gotten to see better than everybody else. I know people are gonna say, what about Pujols? What about Miggy? What about Trout? No, Judge's the best hitter I've seen in my lifetime. It's not close, man. It's not.
No, it's really not even close. I mean, we're witnessing something special, and I would hate to waste it. Individual stats are cool, but championships are better. So I hope that they can put it all together. And like you said, that yesterday's game was the Judge and Soto show. They can put 8 runs on the board, but it's got to be them going absolutely insane to do it. We need more complete performances. Alex Verdugo, I mean, what he? I don't even think he did much yesterday. He had a run maybe yesterday with a walk. Gleyber Torres is looking a lot better. I think I'm gonna write about him today. He's maybe after today's game, see how he performs. But he's been solid in that leadoff spot, guys. Like don't sleep on Gleyber right now. I know we're talking about Verdugo, LeMahieu stinking it up, but he's been a lot better recently. Batting first, I mean, he's only hitting 226, so 295 OBP. But the last week or so, Gleyber Torres has looked pretty good. Heating up slightly, hopefully maintains it. We need him to be hot. We need him to be that guy. But yeah, I still am very much on board for LeMahieu not playing again. I'd rather Oswaldo Cabrera be the primary utility guy in the infield. I think Rizzo's going to be starting when he comes back at first base because, we just need that veteran experience. And Ben Rice, love the kid, but he needs more time. And, when all is said and done, we get Jazz back at third. That'll be very, very beneficial. Probably Peraza goes back to AAA. We'll see. Right now, I mean, Wells is the third best hitter on this team, and he is a light year away from those guys, from Soto and Judge. And then Soto is a light year away from Judge. It's like the tiers here are so far in between that you can't even see the distance. It's pretty incredible. But guys, I know this turned into a Aaron Judge glazing festival, and ultimately this. If you're a Yankee fan, you got to acknowledge the dominance and the excellence of this man because we may never see something like this again. Every year we say we may never see something like this again, and then he does it again and does it better. So hopefully, he can maintain this pace. But we need to win some chips while he's at his best because you can't waste these opportunities right now. But again, Soto, got to extend him, blank check. The guy's a monster. He's hit his last 7 hits have been home runs, or a good chunk of them have been home runs. He had that double, that slap down. You see that quality of a hitter he is. Just a little hit, just a little contact right down the third baseline, sneaks it in there, clears the bases. It's just a genius, like a genius at work, my friends. But always happy to hear your thoughts on Austin Wells, the dominance and excellence of both Judge and Soto. Hopefully you can pick up a win today with Garrett Cole on the mound. Make sure to like and subscribe as always, and we'll catch you guys on the next Fireside Yankees episode.
Perfect.